you filled in a form to claim compensation. Despite the fact that you called them several times and said, I was there, they didn't want to know. Why do you think that was?
I think they were trying to conclude their investigation or get their own story out, get that firm in the public mindset before anything came in which could challenge it, because what I had seen may have actually challenged some of the witness reports that they had taken or some of the statements they had got out of people. So there was one Australian woman who was saying all sorts of stuff about the bus, and she said, oh yeah, I was on the lower deck of the bus and a part of the bomb was in my knee, and she's saying all sorts of stuff, and I'm thinking, who is this woman? Where did they get her from? Maybe she was on the lower deck, but I mean, the stuff she was saying was, I mean, it didn't really add up. So obviously some people have been coached and they got their story and that was what they succeeded in doing.
Okay, so they didn't want the testimony of somebody who was observant like you, and you'd spoken to people about this, and you'd spoken to this woman that you hitched up with at the scene, that you then subsequently thought, according to what you write in the book, was an agent.
Well, I initially didn't suspect her of anything. It was only further down the line when she was trying to lead me in certain directions, and then I started thinking back, well, she happened to be just in Tavistock Square in one of the buildings halfway down Tavistock Square. Was she there on purpose for a reason, or had she been going to work, as she told me? And then I actually found out where she worked and done a bit of digging about, and her story wasn't checking out. So that led me to actually suspect her of having ulterior motives for being with me rather than just boy meets girl, as I thought it was that morning.
All right, let's talk about your friend, the chap who died on the bus, or did he die on the bus? Christian Small. Now, this is an old friend of yours. I mean, this is a bit of a coincidence, actually, that you saw him on the day, but this is a friend of yours that you saw outside Euston Station and said hi to, because he was an old friend of yours. And then, well, take the story up from there. Tell me what happened to Christian.
Well, I saw him at Euston coming out from the mainland station trying to get a bus, or
just like you were
heading towards the buses. I was hesitant, hanging about. I was in WH Smith, leafing through a few magazines and stuff, but I saw him, the previous week we had been in a club in Notting Hill actually, it was a bar in Notting Hill. So I said hi, he couldn't stop, he was busy. Then what happened a week or so later was in the newspaper, they announced that he had died on the Piccadilly tube train. And I'm saying, that's impossible. Firstly, because he would have had to have died at 8:51, which was 15 to 20 minutes before I saw him in Euston. So that was one of the things, maybe that was one of the coincidences which changed my aspect in terms of surviving this thing and what happened to me.
But he is dead, isn't he?
He is. He died that day.
Where did he die then? On the bus?
Of course, he died on the bus.
But you didn't see him get on the bus?
I didn't see him get on the bus because he would have been on the upper deck. So that is one of the things which I thought, that to me he could only have been on the bus because he was in Euston. To have died on the train, you can't be in Euston then have died on the train. Time doesn't work like that.
No, I know, but I'm just a bit confused now. I mean, I understand that the chap with white hair, you would have seen him getting off the bus. So if he had been on the upper deck, you'd have seen him get off, but you didn't see your friend get on? Or
no.
So your friend got on and you didn't see him. It could be, it just is possible, isn't it, that a terrorist got on with a rucksack?
That doesn't really compute. My friend got on because he went straight there. I was dilly-dallying. So if he was at the front, he would have boarded one of the people who boarded before me. There weren't too many that boarded before me, but he would have been one of them.
Okay.
If I had been standing next to him, we would have been talking and we would have sat together upstairs at the back. So I don't know, it's just fate. It could be fate, it could be destiny, that he went his way that morning and I went my way that morning.
Why were you leafing through magazines? Were you not keen to get to work? Or?
I had no idea of how to get to work from Euston because I'd been totally thrown off course. That's the thing. So I walked into WH Smith is right near the exit. So I was waiting for some kind of someone to give us some information. So I just started...
I see, you thought there might be an announcement saying you can get back on the trains or...
Something like that,
because you didn't know it was a bomb then, did you?
No idea. We just thought it was a power surge.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that was how I ended up eventually getting to the bus stop. But the thing is, it took a long time for buses to actually arrive that morning, about 25 minutes. Euston normally has tons of buses.
Yeah, sure.
25 minutes and not one bus. So it was like...
There were lots of people there.
It was like biblical scenes there when a bus appeared on the horizon, basically. So then it just all changed, and I just dashed. I went...
You Q-jumped.
Proper.
Okay. Well, I think you'll probably be forgiven for that. I mean, you're obviously a very lucky man, aren't you?
Fortunate.
Yeah, very fortunate man. So there you are in this. You're now in a relationship with this lady. Do you want to name her? It's probably not her name anyway, is it?
I feel no need to name her, to name and shame. I wasn't in a relationship with her. I was taken with the prospect of being in a relationship with her because of the manner in which we had met. We had met on Tavistock Square. There was
covered in blood.
Bomb. Actually, I'll go into a little something about that. There was a woman who was covered in blood, okay? Yeah. I was escorting her.
I wasn't, this is not the one you then had this...
Yeah, of course, I'm not going to fall in love with a woman covered in blood.
Well, you might be
she was covered in blood, I was helping her. Okay. And then as we were going to the building where they were helping her, I saw this woman staring at me, and I thought, whoa.
Well, even at that moment...
Well, I didn't think whoa like that, but I thought she was kind of nice. Anyway, but this lady, she was so shocked she couldn't actually speak. I was trying to talk to this lady, she was shaking. So I had to deal with her, and that took around 15 minutes.
You found help for her inside one of the buildings there, didn't
inside,
you?
Yeah, a building. Linton House on Tavistock Square. Yeah. Very helpful people there. So they provided water, bandages, so on and so forth. Plasters. I got a little plaster for my hand and all that stuff. And then when I came out, that was when I met this individual who I'd noticed as we'd been shuffling down Tavistock.
Right, so she wasn't injured in any way then?
She wasn't hurt.
I was a bit confused.
She wasn't hurt, no.
Okay, so you got into this strange relationship with her.
Yeah, strange, yeah.
And all the time you're being followed by people are watching you, people have got into your apartment. Apparently.
Yeah.
Want to talk a bit about that, about what they did to show you that they'd been there?
Oh, it's just standard things. I mean, these people are very skillful. They're very highly trained in covert surveillance.
Well, not that covert, if you noticed them. Well, and they wanted you to see that they'd been there, didn't they?
That's because they were trying to intimidate me at some points. So obviously, to intimidate someone, you've got to give them a show of force or scare them. So that's why they were a bit hot and cold. At times I couldn't see anything and I was just getting on with my life, but I'm wondering, where are they? Where are they going to pop up from next? And then other times I'm just like, whatever.
And they did things like, in your book you describe how you had a little bowl where you kept 20p pieces for meters or something.
Oh, for the car.
Yeah, and there were 5 of them in there, or so you thought, but when you came home, there was a £1 coin.
Yeah, that was
They'd taken your 20p's and changed it for you.
That was just one of the little games, mind games they kind of like to play, I suppose. But I didn't actually let that get to me, really, because if I had, I could see what they were trying to do. So I'm kind of a spiritual, willful sort of person. If something is wrong, I believe honesty is the best policy at the end of the day. So I had to put my case, regardless of whether people think everything I saw was 100% accurate. Some people have their own kind of points of view. People have been emailing me and suggesting this and suggesting that. I don't mind listening to what you have actually come up with. They call them conspiracy theories, but I want to put a witness testimony, which is different from a conspiracy theory.
So let's cut to the chase here then, Daniel, if we may. What do you think really happened on 7/7? Who was behind it?
I believe there was a shady British intelligence operation mounted under the cover of what were terror drills in London, and many people died and lost their lives and lost loved ones. And I think that is evil. It's a false flag attack, and these things have happened going way back to the days of Rome. So, I mean, it's something that the people are unaware of, and they need to be aware of and on the lookout for, because in these times, I think there's going to be more of them, essentially. So that's why I said, I'm going to say what I've got to say for whatever reason. That's the kind of person I am.
Do you think it now makes you safer? Because if you hadn't said anything publicly and written a book and been on websites, I know you've got your own website, thefourthbomb.com.
Yeah.
And it's the number 4, isn't it?
Yeah, 40H.
Thefourthbomb.com. So you've gone public. I mean, do you think that saved you from perhaps being assassinated? Wasn't there a woman, for instance, who was in one of the buildings in Tavistock Square, went on the record as saying that she saw the bomb squad there before the bomb went off, and then suddenly died mysteriously?
I think I read about that in a newspaper somewhere. Someone sent me a clipping about that.
It's in your book.
But with me, it's not about me being safer, it's making London safer. I'm a Londoner, so I wanted everyone to be safer. If everyone is aware of what can be done to them, we all know London as a place where everyone can enjoy themselves and live. We're very diverse, very forward-thinking, and a great place to be. But there are people who will be ruthless and will kill anyone, regardless of whether they are British, English, Londoners, foreigners, and seek to benefit from it. So,
okay, well, how do they benefit from it?
By changing laws, making this wonderful city of ours into a totalitarian fascist state, essentially. Because that's what fascism is. It's futurism. It's to own the future. And the only way they can do that is by taking away our freedoms. And I want to be free like everyone else. So this is a way of me expressing my freedom.
I mean, interestingly, it happened at the time of the G8 summit in Scotland, didn't it, that Tony Blair was at, with George Bush and other leaders. Do you think maybe that was his way of saying to them something? If there was an involvement, if there was a government involvement, let's just suppose for a moment that there was government involvement, what do you think that message would have been from Tony Blair to those other G8 people?
I don't think really Tony Blair was involved. There are shady departments far-reaching, higher than Tony Blair, who can influence departments and get the people on the ground and manage them. So I wouldn't say it's directly, okay, the Labour government did it, New Labour did it. It's not that clear-cut. But the British state is responsible for
MI5?
British intelligence. And it's funny because when I launched the site, got a bit of coverage, a couple of thousand people hit the site, and then in December the 1st, 2006, I sent 13 emails to different people who may have been interested with the new footage and graphics and all the details and evidence I'd collected up until that point. And then 3 days later, I had something like 30,000 unique users. So that's when it really started really going global. So that was amazing. That was what really kind of led to the book, because the site was really the main means of getting the information out, the internet. And the internet is a powerful tool. I wouldn't have written that if I couldn't have done a website.
No. So has any branch of the government, the police or the anti-terrorist squad or any of those people ever suggested that you weren't on the bus, or that in some way you were involved in the bombs? Or
initially, some people did try to say in December of 2006 that I was never on the bus, and all that did was make me upload information showing me in the background by the bus wreckage, looking around the corner, and there's even footage of me running down the street from a helicopter as well, taken from above, which is kind of strange.
And that's online, is it?
It was online. Someone has still got it, I suppose. So, I mean, there's no question of me not having been on the bus. I even had blood on my shirt, and from people who had died, because the lady I escorted was smothered in blood, and I escorted her. So some of that blood run
And
off
some of
me.
your own blood, presumably.
Well, that was just my hands, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay, well, we're almost at the end of the show, Daniel. I mean, thank you very much
Yeah.
for being so brave and coming on and giving your testimony.